So I think there's three things that are happening. One of them is there's this, and we've seen it over the last few years, is there's this aggregation of payments and hardware and point of sale software. And we just have to continue paying attention to that from just how things are going to be playing out. That's one thing. The second thing is there really is this acceleration of tablets being implemented into store and restaurant operations. And it's really about how do you reduce cost, how do you speed up deployments, and just, merchants just want to try different applications, and they just don't always want to be tied down to one thing. And the third thing is there's this increased understanding of how business intelligence can help. I believe that over time we're going to be seeing people understand not just what's happening in their business, but we're going to start to see how applications tell them what they should be doing. So, in all those cases, a VAR has to realize that this is happening, and they have to accept that they are going to have to deal with these completely new paradigms that they've never had to deal with before. I think the VAR has to be a better advisor. They have to figure out how to grow with how the industry is growing. They have to learn how to use business intelligence and how to be a good advisor. And then finally, one of the things I said in the beginning was aggregation of different components of the value chain. They've got to work with that aggregation. They can't just say, well, let them work over here. Like if they don't become part of that process and part of that shift, they're going to be kicked out.
I believe one of the, some of the primary ones are definitely understanding payments and tokenization of payments, getting more involved with self-service kiosks, understanding the e-commerce connection into retail stores or restaurants as well. It appears that a lot of the VARs in the industry have a lot of information when it comes to actually being on the floor of someone's shop, but when we get to the web component of it and the app building component of it or connecting these, there's a little bit of a disconnect there as well. I think bottom line, we need to remember that what we're actually doing here is trying to facilitate a high level of experience and creating loyalty at the customer level while meeting the demands of what the retailer or restaurant may require functionally. And so bottom line, looking at these types of systems, we would prefer that they're not a utilitarian type device, but a device that is an experiential addition to the environment that maybe the retailer or restaurateur have.
So I think end users have two major things they're worried about. One of them is how do they keep people coming into the location? And the second thing is dealing with all of these security hacks and security implications. So I think in terms of getting people inside of the store or inside of the restaurant, today it's not a big deal. More than 90% of retail is still going through brick and mortar. But what we know is that the amount of retail that's going through e-com is growing much faster than brick and mortar. So the VAR, again, has to really understand how to help that merchant be a good kind of experience provider. It's not just about the technology anymore. It's also about why, the end user and the VAR need to figure out together what keeps that person coming in. Because the person is going to come into brick and mortar now for a specific reason. They're going to come in because they have specific experiences that they're looking for, specific expertises that they're looking for. They're looking for something that's completely different than what they can get on Amazon or in any e-commerce site. So the VAR needs to help that merchant create a better experience, which is different than before, right? Before, the VAR was just a technology provider and servicer. They have to become a consultative expert. Then the other part is security. And one of the things with security is that it's changing all the time. And from a merchant standpoint, they have to keep up to date. They have to be asking the question to the VAR, am I up to date? Am I up to date? And that doesn't always happen because the merchant is expecting the VAR to be able to provide that. And I think, again, it has to be this collaborative effort where the merchant is asking the questions, am I good to go?
Yeah, there's a few. One of them is with BlueStar, like the ISV Connect event that's happening, and the ability for newer ISVs to actually present to a room full of VARs what their solution is and why it's different. Some of the other ones are, I believe that VARs should start to look at more of, today, a lot are simply providing a solution and meeting the demand of what the retailer wanted at that point. And a lot of it has to do with technology, maybe hardware or the software solution relative to the point of sale side. One of the things that could be very helpful for the retailers and restaurateurs is not only taking that solution, but adding or marrying it with a solution that actually aids in growth for the retailer. And the approaches that I've always taken in the past are, yes, I'm here to provide a solution, but I'm also here to provide an aid for you to grow your business, and I'm here to educate you on the ways of being able to do that.
So I was in New Orleans a few months ago, and we were trying to figure out how to park. One of the things that the city is doing now is they're making parking completely digital, or paying for parking digital. So I pulled into the spot, I took a picture of my license plate, and it automatically, then the app told me, asked me how long I was going to be parking there, and it also took my phone number. So when I was getting close to the time that I was going to expire, I didn't have to walk back from where I was walking in Bourbon Street. It just reminded me, hey, do you want to park for any longer? And then what I did was I just said yes, I put in how much more time, and I continued going. And so the city realized that it's not just about the parking revenue, but they want to have people walking around and buying and eating as much time as possible. So instead of getting people to walk back to their cars and rethink whether or not they were going to go home, they want to make sure that people stay out purchasing and out having a great time and spending money, and making parking sort of the afterthought as opposed to the anchor that was keeping you down.